reinforcements are on the way.
Right.
The cavalry is coming. The issues that you had last night, the cavalry is coming. Ronnie Harrison now gets a couple extra days to get acclimated and play some more safety. Could have Greedy. Could have Kevin Johnson back soon. Mac Wilson could be back soon. All of a sudden, some of the issues you had will be addressed from within. And so that makes you feel pretty good. It would be the feeling of winning this one 35-30 and them getting the late touchdown to give you that from the scores. If this is 17-10 and it doesn't look right offensively, a little bit of consternation.
Yes.
The issues you have are going to be can be fixed from within this team, and that's a huge, huge reason for all of the way that you're feeling today.
You certainly hope that they can, and I think there's still obviously ways to go, but from a defensive standpoint, as you bring up, because that's where a lot of – really, offensively, what do you want to fix? One play where Baker didn't see Jackson drop back?
Really,
Other
really
than that, you don't have to fix anything. Maybe clean up a couple of the penalties that put you behind the sticks, but this game they overcame every single instance that happened. They overcame it every single time. So you look to the defensive side of the ball. And defensively, what you had was a tremendous performance by your front. They were around Joe Burrow constantly. I mean, Myles Garrett, it's one of those things. I think he's so good that it's sometimes watching it live, you're just expecting sacks every play. And if he doesn't get it, you don't appreciate what he actually did in the game. But then when you go back and watch the tape, you realize he wrecks the protections. It seems like half the plays. He finished the day with 9 pressures. He had the sack strip fumble that was a huge play after the goal line stand by the Bengals. To get that, you get right back to 1st and goal to 1. Nick Chubb punches it in. But Porter Gustin, first of all, Claiborne gets a sack.
5-star.
He's playing well. He goes out. 5-star comes in. 5-star on the sack strip fumble crushes Burrow. If Garrett didn't get there a second before, Gustin was going to get an absolute sack on that play. He finishes the day with 6 pressures of his own. He was around the quarterback constantly. Had another sack where he accidentally got a piece of the face mask. That ended up being a penalty. Huge stop near the goal line. Gustin maintaining his contain on Burrow and making that tackle. 5-star was incredible. Might have to call him 6-star because that's how good he was last night. But you think about Vernon's out, Claiborne's out, goes out. He has to step up. Joe Jackson, I call him Shoe Joe Jackson. He recovered the fumble at the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Sheldon was everywhere. Sheldon was
unbelievable in that game.
Everywhere. Larry was getting penetration. That front was tremendous. And then on the back end, the 2 corners on the outside, Denzel and Money Mitch, targeted 20 times between the two of them. 20 times they were targeted between the two of them. They gave up, I believe it was 5 receptions. 5 receptions total, 6 pass breakups. I mean, when you play that well on the outside against a team that can throw the ball, that's tremendous stuff. I'm sorry, 20 targets, 6 catches, 55 yards, 6 pass breakups. Now, the linebackers, the safeties, Tavier Thomas, different story. They struggled in coverage in this one, and I think hopefully getting Mack back will help you. Hopefully Harrison, who was a step late on the cover 2 on the Uzoma touchdown, and he didn't see the field after that. We need him, though. We need him, whether it's dime linebacker, close to the line of scrimmage, we need him on the field more because our linebackers really struggled. And getting Kevin Johnson back, you mentioned that. To me, Greedy, I don't know if you just come back and hand him the job over Money Mitch. That's a very difficult decision because
Money's played so well.
Money's great. But Kevin Johnson for Tavier. Tavier gave it his all. And we saw MJ Stewart out there a little bit. But they picked on him. 9 completions on 10 targets when they attacked Tavier Thomas. The one incompletion was Boyd's drop in the end zone. We need help there. The middle of the field, we need significant help. It's going to come from within, but it's also got to get better. It's got to get better than what we've seen because you're not going to have that luxury going forward. But they bend but don't break. Goal line stand. They did some very good things. Not enough. Against other teams, it's not going to be enough defensively.
No, last thing I want to get on you, and then we got to bring on the Hoff here in about 5 minutes. This was fun. You and I weren't here in the 80s as kids. We don't remember Bernie Boomer. We know the history, but we didn't live it. This sets up a fun next decade with these two guys.
It was certainly a great first foray into it, and I think you're right. And Baker's got to get his against Lamar. We got to start to even the score there against
Oh,
Lamar
sure,
Jackson.
sure.
But when you think
But
of the fact,
a Battle of Ohio to have it matter over the next 10 years.
awesome.
That's going to be a
and
treat.
I think it certainly will be relevant because we're going to be relevant, and the Bengals with that kid, incredibly impressive. I mean, incredibly impressive. They're going to be relevant. Yeah, a fun start to it. A lot of star power on the field. And I think what was cool for us, our stars all shone bright. Baker did what you wanted him. Chubb, Hunt, Miles, Denzel, Odell Beckham Jr. Landry was solid, even though the game flow didn't necessarily go through him. He did a lot of stuff that didn't show up. Same with Hooper. Your line. I mean, Wills was spectacular. There's one where they run a trap where they pull Wills all the way from his left tackle spot on a third down to lead Kareem Hunt on an inside zone, and he comes bursting, leaping through the hole, paving the way. Just spectacular.
Yeah, spectacular that we get to relive it with the Hoff coming up next. Off and running on a Victory Friday edition, Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. my great friends at Raising Cane's. On game day, go for the win with Cane's Chicken Fingers. Stack your roster with delicious hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce. You can't beat that. Huddle up with crispy, crinkle-cut fries, coleslaw, buttery Texas toast. Top it all off with freshly made tea and lemonade. Visit the newest Raising Cane's on Brook Park Road in North Olmsted. It's right behind Great Northern Mall. Do it now. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers certainly is one love. Additionally, if an auto or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Go Browns. And with that, we bring on the Hoff, who was so great last night postgame. Love to see you. Hoff, look, the look of this was so great, buddy. It wasn't just the win, it's the way it looked, and especially the offense and the way they were able to run the ball and just dominate the play up front.
Yeah, as an offensive lineman, you get pretty excited when you rush for over 200 yards and you've got two running backs in the backfield and you're saying, hey, we don't even care who they turn around and hand the football to because both those guys are barreling people over on defense. They're making our jobs easy. They're making us look good. It was one of those fun moments where, the O-line went home and they may have had a couple beers to celebrate because they may have been a little sore, especially on this short week, but they were feeling pretty nice after that beatdown that they put on the Cincinnati Bengals last night.
And Hoff, it just was a great atmosphere, a great moment. You never want to call something a must-win beforehand, but you know the stakes. We talked about them. To be a playoff team, to be where you wanted to be, that was a game you had to have. To go out and get it, to see the development from last Sunday to Thursday when you had to have it. Remarkable, but it came together the way you needed it to, but it looked the way you needed it to look as well.
Yeah, it looked the right way. You're exactly right. There's a look and a feel when you win a game that you want, especially early on in the season, because we just don't know a whole lot about this team, right? We have had no preseason games. There was no fans at training camp. We got a little bit of an opportunity to watch practice, but you can't really take a whole lot from that. And after 1 week, we don't know anything about the Ravens. We think they're going to be really good, so we can kind of adjust maybe what our expectations are for the Browns. But when you go out and you look the way they did, you're setting up the play action pass the way they did with great running the football. You're doing some nice things, rushing the quarterback on defense. Those are the things we wanted to see. That's the offense we wanted to see from Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski. And when it comes to fruition in a national football game, in a national spotlight the way it did last night, that just really makes you feel good because you heard those fans. It was easily, in my opinion, the best audio and visual experience from a fan at home last night, hearing those 6,000 fans because they were into it from the start, and it really made you happy and kind of forget about the weird pandemic that we've been dealing with and the fact that these stadiums aren't full right now.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think it had the most real feel of any of the NFL games that I've seen to this point, Joe. And I think those 6,000, they did sound like 60. They were loud. It was really great to see. And I made this point to Nathan, and I'm curious to get your view on it. It was important that you won, obviously, but you were expected to win. You're a 6-point favorite in this game. But it was really critical that it looked right offensively, right? Because we've all seen the coach film from last week against Baltimore and just going, boy, this isn't right. This is not who we thought we were going to be. And then to be able to have the type of offensive showing. The defense can be fixed. I mean, some of it's going to be fixed from within with healthy guys coming back in the next week or two. But it was really critical to last night, not only that it was a win, Joe, but that the offense looked right. And it did. And that starts with our quarterback in Baker Mayfield. It starts up front, obviously, with how great those guys played. But Baker looked the part. He looked like the guy we think he is.
Yeah, the way those two running backs were running the football and the way the offensive line was blocking, I think all of us probably agree that Baker could have just handed it off almost every play last night, and they would have won the football game because they were just so dominant over that Bengals front seven. But the way they were able to pass the football, specifically in the first half, specifically on play action, Baker was 4 of 5 on play action in the first half, 87 yards, touchdown, and a perfect 158.3 passer rating. That was the big question mark coming into this game after the lack of success that the passing game had in week one and how week one looked with Baker throwing the football to those receivers down the field. So to completely flip the script, play great football, especially in the first half, throwing the ball down the field, that really made us feel good, especially how we felt about the offense going into the season and how we felt about them and how uneasy we were after that first game. So you got to feel great waking up this morning.
You sure do. And, it was one of those things. We knew we would be able to run the ball. Heck, in the opener, those guys had 23 for $132 combined, nearly 6 yards a carry. Yeah. We knew that wasn't going to be an issue. What it could set up, the potential of it, the play action, but also just Baker's poise, his accuracy, his vision, his trust. I felt like his confidence had been restored. And I give Stefanski a lot of credit calling things that had the chance to work against Baltimore but did not right out of the gate. And then when Baker had the success, you could just see the way Jarvis reacted on play 2, the rollout to the right, which was that classic levels, high-low read. He chooses the high. He could have gone to all 3 reads, by the way. It was Hodge, Beckham, Landry. Jarvis's reaction when Baker ripped that ball to Hodge for 23 or whatever it was, you could just see they were fired up. It was like the belief, everybody, it just got contagious, as Jarvis likes to say. It was contagious, and it led to great success. And this is a team that's going to be very difficult to stop on offense when it's playing like that. And I saw our boy Orlovsky said, this is what they need to be. Tennessee, pound it with the run, be efficient in the passing game like Tennessee was last year. Now, the other part, though, to be like Tennessee is you've got to have a lockdown defense, and I still think we've got a little bit of ways to go on that side of it.
Yeah, the defense, we're not going to talk a whole lot about that today because we don't want to feel less than amazing, which is what
That's
all
right.
of us felt like waking up, except for maybe the little hangover that we had after the celebrations from last night. But, yeah, you can tell Jarvis was thinking when he came to the sideline after that play, he's back, right? Because after week 1, rightfully so, there was a lot of question marks about Baker Mayfield in the passing game, who we all thought was going to be really good with Kevin Stefanski's scheme. Kevin did great things in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins and that passing attack. And I think personally that we have better players in the passing game than Minnesota does with Baker Mayfield and Odell and Jarvis and Austin Hooper. Like, to me, those weapons are much better than what they have in Minnesota. And so we expected a level of success in the passing game, and we didn't see that in week 1. And so to see the confidence come back to Baker Mayfield, to see all the players around him see that confidence coming back, to see him letting the football rip, hitting the guys in stride on those crossing routes, that was exactly what we wanted to see. You could just feel the life coming back and the energy coming back into this offense and the confidence from top to bottom, because as Baker Mayfield goes, this offense will go, and as this offense goes, this team will go this season. And so when you have a performance like you did on Thursday night, this offense has got to be feeling like the sky's the limit for this team this season.
And it's never going to be about 400 yards passing and 50 dropbacks. But we always said, Joe and Beau, efficiency, 16 of 23, 219 yards, almost 10 yards an attempt, efficiency, high completion percentage, high yards per attempt, and that's what we saw. That's when this offense is clicking. That's what it is.
Right. Baker Mayfield's going to be at his best when he's in that 20 to 30 attempts range. A high amount of those are going to be the play action where he's rolling out either to his right or his left. That's where he's at his best. We don't want to have to put Baker in that position like Joe Burrow was last night, where he has to stand in the pocket and throw 61 times. Because Baker does his best football when he's on the move. He is one of the most accurate passers in the NFL when he is rolling out, when he is moving either his right or his left, which is something that's really hard to do. And you don't see a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL able to do that. But also the way this football team can run the ball, and the way that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and that offensive line have gelled so early in this season is pretty impressive. And so we know that running the football, that's going to be the bread and butter. And what we need from Baker in the passing game is to hit some of those big plays down the field like we saw early on with Baker hitting Odell down the sideline on play action. We need those big chunk plays because those are the plays that are going to win the game for you. The running game, that's going to move the ball. That's going to control the football. That's going to get you those yards and set up some of those big plays. But the big plays are going to be what win the game for the Browns.
Joe, there were some anxious moments in camp with Jedrick Wills because there were some practices where you went, boy, we got a ways to go. 2 games in, he looks great. He looks fantastic. The three of us, we were looking at some film this morning, and he's coming around where he pulls, he hurdles somebody in a hole and just road grades. I mean, it's incredible. He's so exceeded based on what I saw in camp. What have you seen out of the young tackle?
He's been awesome, man. I think there's obviously things that you can correct. There's obviously things that he can improve on, and he'd probably be the first one to tell you. But when you look at his technique and you look at the way he's reacting and picking up the blitzes and communicating with Joel and the rest of the offensive linemen, he doesn't look like a rookie out there, which is incredible because he's had hardly any practices. What he's had, maybe 20 practices. I think back to my rookie year, I had 20 practices under my belt before veteran minicamp in June. And then we had another probably 40 practices in training camp and 4 preseason games. And so for him to be able to switch from right tackle to left tackle, which I was one of the ones saying, hey, don't worry about it, he'll figure it out. He has done that flawlessly. He looks really good. And like you mentioned, I urged patience in training camp because everyone was getting worried that, he was having bad practices and he was getting beat by Miles or OV. But it's a different ball game at the NFL level. But one thing I know about Jet is he's a really smart guy and he's a very fast learner and he's very competitive. And so his learning curve is going to be steep this year and he's going to learn things very quickly. And I think where he is, even in week 1, which I thought he played well, but to where he's going to be week 9 and then week 17, you're going to look back and go, wow, that doesn't even look like the same player because this guy is an absolute lockdown stud that we've got at left tackle.
And he was
an actor too. Showed up in the Progressive commercial with
I had to give him.
How about that? Unannounced, uncredited.
Rookie offensive lineman, 2 weeks in, and you've got your own national TV commercial. I mean, come on, that made me a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
It's pretty good. Listen, he's going to earn his commercials if he keeps playing the way he did. Sam Hubbard had a great week 1 against the Chargers. He held Sam Hubbard without a pressure in this game. 24 pass blocking snaps, 1 pressure allowed came from Carl Lawson, who has been able to get to the quarterback in his career with them. I thought that was as impressive as anything. And then on the other side, you had Hub handling Carlos Dunlap, who I know you know very well, Joe, who has been for a long time one of the better pass rushers and certainly pass batters in the NFL. He didn't have a single pressure. When you think about the performance from Wills and Hubbard in this game, kind of stunning.
Yeah, really impressive. I said it on the broadcast after the game to Irv and Steve. I go, hey, nationally, people are going to be talking about this Browns offensive line. I mean, this is one of those units where they might be a top 5 offensive line, and I don't think they got enough credit going into this season. But when you rush for 200 yards and you keep your quarterback as clean as they did tonight, people are really going to take notice of that. And then, of course, my lovely co-hosts on Thursday Night Football poo-pooed that very quickly, being the receivers that they are, and said, Joe, nobody's going to be talking about the offensive line play tomorrow. Come on, who are we kidding? We're going to be talking about Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield. So they kind of hurt my feelings. But I think your point is well taken by me, at least. Chris Hubbard, this offense really fits him. And I think we're really blessed to be able to have a guy with his experience as a backup who can step in. If we do have one of our tackles get banged up, Chris is amphibious, as the great Jim Kantner will say. He is ambidextrous. He can play the left tackle and he can play the right tackle. And he is a movement type guy, right? Chris is not your big, stout, 370-pound Flozell Adams where you're not going to be able to run through him. He's a guy that relishes in this type of offense where he can use his quickness, he can use his brains, he can use his technique to beat guys with speed, keep the pocket wide in the play action, get ahead of his guys with the wide zone. And that really, really fits him well. And it was exciting to see him go out there yesterday and play as well as he did against a pretty good group of defensive linemen there. Carlos Domnap, now he hasn't really done much this season, but I played against him. Schwartz played against him during my career. And that dude is a handful. He's a big, fast defensive end that causes a lot of problems for a lot of people. And Carl Lawson's a guy who can really eat you up. If you're not ready and you don't really prepare the way you should against him, he can go out and have 2 or 3 sacks against you. So for Jed to be able to pretty much eliminate him from the game says a lot about Jed's development already, only in week 2.
Much more to come with Joe. Coming up next, we hit game balls, top of the hour, play a little word association, look ahead to next week. It is a Victory Friday edition.
Yes!
It is Joe Thomas Hour. It is Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back in the Joe Thomas Hour, Cleveland Browns Daily on a Victory Friday edition. Gentlemen, let's hand out some game balls. We're going to hand out two game balls. We'll start with the Hoff. Who gets your first game ball, Joe?
I give it to Wyatt Teller.
Yes.
The one position we talked about on the offensive line that we were a little nervous about was right guard, right? Because you don't have the high-priced free agent, you don't have the first-round draft choice, and you go, I don't know, this could be an area of concern, especially when you've got those other four positions that you feel really good about. But I tell you what, Wyatt Teller has just embraced and embodied Cleveland, right? The blue collar. I'm just going to be a big hog molly and steamroll people and be dirty and nasty. He did get a penalty. But you know what? That's what you need from your guard position. You need that. We had that when we had John Greco, Joel Bitonio's held it on. And if you want to be a team that focuses on running the football and beating people up in the run game to set up your play action, you got to have at least one guy like Wyatt Teller who's just going to punch you in the face and do it from play 1 to play 65 in the game. He did it again last night. I don't know him personally, but I'm proud of him anyway because he had a great game, and I love to watch him, and I'd love to watch him continue to have great success in the NFL season going forward.
Mine's a little more obvious. I feel like otherwise, if I wanted to go, and I'll save my second one. Maybe we'll get through a couple more of the obvious ones for a little bit more of a fun one like Joe's Wyatt Teller. Although Joe's very much correct. You need those guys up front. I got Kareem Hunt. The guy played 20 plays, and had 101 total yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that is absurd. He doesn't really play in the first half. In fact, in the first 3 quarters, 75% of the running back snaps were Chubb, 25% Hunt. Fourth quarter, it was the opposite. Picked up about 80 yards on the ground in the fourth quarter. The decisive runs to finish and ice the game for the Browns. He was great. No disrespect to Nick Chubb. He definitely gets a game ball as well. But Kareem, 20 plays? He averaged 5 yards a play, whether he was involved in it or not. Insane.
Well, and I had texted you. I said, is something wrong? Because I didn't know where he was.
I thought he was going with our theory.
To be able to, I know, we did. We contemplated that. To be able to pull out from behind your back Kareem Hunt fresh and engaged and say, go. I mean, this is going to be a problem for teams all year trying to deal with this. A healthy one of those guys and a fresh one of those guys in the fourth quarter. Joe, your second game ball, sir.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with Austin Hooper, right? People are going to say, well, he only had 2 catches, but the blocking that he did in line to be able to run to the strong side was a big key for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to go over 200 yards. And if you can get that type of blocking from your tight end, it opens up everything you want to do on that offense because that's what brings those safeties down close to the line of scrimmage to try to take away stuff in the run game. That's what gets the linebackers to creep up and to get sucked up into the line of scrimmage on those play-action fakes, and what's going to allow Baker Mayfield to continue to grow, to throw the ball down the field, to feel comfortable letting it rip to Odell because there's so much space in the secondary when all you have to look at is one safety and a couple cornerbacks because everybody else is tight on the line of scrimmage, concerned about that run game, especially to that tight end side.
Beau, I made that look because who's you're giving your game ball to? Beau Bishop has game balls to give out.
I just won. I'll do it at the end. Go ahead.
All right. Then I'm going to give my second game ball to Money Mitch. Money Mitch, so fun to watch. You could say 5-star Porter guy. There are a lot of people, Miles there, but I love Money Mitch as a human, and I loved him getting this opportunity. They targeted Money Mitch 10 times. 10 times. 2 catches, 19 yards allowed, 3 pass breakups. Money Mitch was simply spectacular. On the outside, they tried to throw it outside. Money Mitch, Denzel Ward, no dice. Middle field, a little bit of dice.
No.
Outside, no dice. Money Mitch was great.
A little bit of dice.
A little bit of dice. Look, our stars were stars.
That's right.
Hunt and Chubb were stars. Odell was a star. You mentioned Hoop, our offensive line, stars. Baker was a star. Miles was a star. Denzel was a star. All of that. Our stars were stars. I got one game ball that would go to Coach. And I would say for a couple of reasons. Number one, short week, lot of talk, lot of chatter, steady.
As he's
calm.
been.
Never got the feeling, as he's been, never got the feeling that, wow, we all kind of thought must win, got to have it. Never got that from him. Very calm. This is a big process. This is big picture stuff. I thought the rhythm he had in play calling with Baker was the best over the course of a full game that I've ever seen anybody have rhythm with Baker go all the way to Lincoln Riley. That'd be the last time that I saw somebody who knew exactly what to dial up to Baker at the exact right moment. The fourth down play to Jarvis when he runs the pick where you know they're in man, and to be able to have the confidence to do it, and Jarvis picked up 20 yards down the sideline on that. That's a huge conversion at that point. I love what he said post-game when they said, why'd you go for all the fourth downs? Because sevens are better than threes.
Right.
Like, I just loved the attitude of it. I liked how calm he was. This was a nervy game, guys. I'm with you, Z. Like, you always felt we were going to win, but I would not have wanted to not recover that onside kid and give that kid the ball back. So you always had to keep having the pressure on offensively, and I never felt like there wasn't a single time when we got the ball that I didn't think, well, we'll go score. We'll go score. And that was he really had a feel for Baker, and this is early in their gestation period, very early. And it was incredible based on what we saw 5 days ago, how they had a rhythm the whole game, and his steady hand was key to, I think, what we saw last night.
And I want to build on kind of what Beau said. I think that's a deft touch with the game ball right there to give it to the old ball coach. Yeah. But, Joe, what does that say to the locker room that he was able to stay so steady, that he was able to create a game plan on short notice that was so perfectly tailored? The reason that you open in those boots is because you wanted to attack and expose the linebackers of the Chargers and get their head spinning early. And the way they both overreacted on the first two set up the runs later on when they didn't know if they could bite as hard because you'd already hit them with the play action. But in the locker room, and certainly in the offensive meeting room, when you know your coach can design something that well on that kind of short notice and get the best out of your team feeling the heat, because we all know they were feeling the heat, that's got to be confidence-inspiring, isn't it?
Absolutely. My favorite coaches that I played for were the steady guys, the guys that didn't want to get on the roller coaster, the guys that are exactly like Kevin Stefanski, right? We talked to him today after or before the show, and he was just as steady as he was on Monday after the loss. And as a player, I just want to be able to show up every day and know that I'm getting put in the best position to succeed, and I'm going to get the best feedback possible. And that has to happen when the coach is even-keeled. He's not emotional. He's not going to brush over things when things are going well. He's not going to highlight mistakes that maybe shouldn't be when things are going bad because he's emotional and he's upset about the loss. Like, I just want the same person every day. That's what you want from your team. That's what you want from your coaching staff. And Kevin showed it with a great game plan and a great performance, and then a great post-game performance where he was just like super ice water in his veins. Hey, we're looking towards next week. We can't wait to do it again.
You know what's so cool?
Yeah, steady, but also a little bit of a gunslinger.
Oh,
fourth down. So
confidence.
We've seen a fake punt. We've seen inside the fourth down and goal. Go for it on fourth downs. There's a little bit of that too. It's a good mix. It's early. It's his second game, but first win at home, one with a ton of pressure from the outside. Never felt like he felt it. And then to dial it up the way he did it. I don't think I'm trying to think of maybe one or two just down there in the goal line that you'd like to have back, but mostly I think he dialed up the right one at the right time.
He did, and I think what's so cool about him is that when people in this organization, and Joe saw this, congratulated him on his first win, he would say, no, congratulations to you as well. He just, his mindset, and Andrew Berry, I was talking with AB last night after the win, and I said, congratulations, it's his first win as a general manager, the youngest general manager in NFL history to ever win a game, ever. That's pretty impressive feat. And he just said, it's a great night for the organization. I mean, that's the kind of guys that we have in leadership positions, which is, as Joe knows, can be very different than people that can find themselves in those positions in terms of how their worldview is, I would say.
Yeah, steady hand and a nice win for both, and good for coach. And now you turn your attention to Washington, and you just feel so much better about everything. We'll play a little word association coming up next, and then after that, we will take a peek ahead at the Washington football team. You're listening to the Joe Thomas Hour on Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys are up.
All right, welcome back into the second half of the Joe Thomas Hour on Cleveland Browns Daily on a Victory Friday edition of the program. Beau here for Weather Seal Home Services. Listen up, guys. They're simply the best in the business for any home improvement need. Right now, just $1 down plus low monthly payments. You get a new roof plus free gutters. It's probably what your home needs. Weather Seal going to make your new roof affordable, too. 7 years. Just let the Weather Seal show you new roof a reality. Call 877-351-SEAL or visit weathersealhomeservices.com. But I encourage you to hurry. The sale does end at the end of this month. It's with approved credit and prior sales are excluded. That's 877-351-SEAL or weathersealhomeservices.com. All right, gentlemen, time to play a little word association. I'll give you a player or a position group. You give me your thoughts. Let's start with a man who I'm going to refer to for the rest of this show as Six.
Poised, confident, back.
Mr. Hoff?
Zegura there with that mic drop. I loved it. Confident, right? Because week one, the big question mark was like, why wasn't Baker throwing the football when guys were open? He didn't look comfortable. He didn't look confident in that system. Well, last night, he looked confident and he looked comfortable. He was letting it rip. He was deadly against the blitz. He was awesome in the first half in play action. We got exactly the confident and deadly version of dangerous Baker Mayfield that we want to see the rest of the season.
Comfortable. Knew where he needed to be.
First
knew
class.
where the ball needed to go. Trusted. First class, baby. It was who he is. It was good to see it again. It was awesome. Go ahead, Z.
There was an out to Kaderil Hodge that set him up first and goal, I want to say, at the 6 was a throw that was there against the Ravens a couple times that he didn't throw, and it was just so boom, and placement perfect. It just back. He's back. Comfortable. Yeah. Trust, confident. Let's go.
The man who I was so grateful that they did not take the touchdown away because I think it mattered so much to everybody. Odell Beckham Jr., Joe.
Swagger is back. You know, there was a lot of question marks about the connection between OBJ and Baker and what was wrong, blah, blah, blah. But even though Odell didn't have a 10-plus catch game, he seemed to have back. The swagger was back because he was able to make those big game-changing plays like he did in the first half that keeps the defense concerned the rest of the game, and it changes what they want to do, which is exactly what you need out of Odell. We got two great running backs. We got a great running game. You don't need to target Odell 15 times to win the game, but what you want is 2 to 3 big plays from Odell every single week to keep the defense honest and to keep them worried about him the entire night.
Efficient. 6 targets, 74 yards, 12.5 yards a target. And I'll be honest, you watch the tape against Baltimore, he got open. I think there are a lot of people criticizing Odell, and that's those are great corners. Peters and Humphrey, as good a duo as in the league. He got open against them. This time, he got open. That little route that he ran on the touchdown, where he is showing kind of the stop and the out and then turns it up the field and turns on the Jets, that's the nuance that makes the great ones great. I thought he showed he was efficient. Didn't get many opportunities, made the most of them in the flow of the offense, and I thought it was I think he's going to continue that. Efficient. He and Jarvis combined, 9 targets, 7 catches, 120 yards. 9 targets, 120 yards. Like 13, 14 yards a target. You do that all day, you're going to beat everybody.
Yeah, Odell was over 18 a catch and Jarvis over 15 a catch. You have to have those chunk plays. They're critical to this offense. Joe talked about that earlier in the week. You have to have those things, and you got them in spades from both of those guys, not just from Odell. The total targets might not have been there, but the production was there. The Browns' offensive line, I got to start with the Hoff when I talk about his boys.
Proud. And that's me. I was just proud of the way they played. They looked so good. They were opening up so many holes, and now I will throw a dose of reality out there and say the Bengals defensive line, their front seven, not great, but that's what you should do when you play against not great front sevens. You should dominate them from the first play to the last play, and that's exactly what the Browns' offensive line did.
I'm getting out of my chair for this one because I need to reenact a scene from a movie with great Cleveland ties, The Christmas Story, when Ralphie wrote his treatise on the benefits of the Red Ryder BB gun, and in his dream, the teacher read it, and she went to the board and she wrote A plus 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 all around the room. That's what I'm giving the offensive line. A plus 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 plus. It was sublime.
It really was. It's thrilling to see Jed make the leaps and bounds. And Wyatt has been incredible. I'm glad you brought him up. Yes, did, yeah. And so this was fun to see those things, and to be able to have somebody like Hub who can just float in and play and go. And this offense clearly fits him better than the previous one did. Myles Garrett, Z, you and I had a text exchange after the fourth down. Unable to get that fourth down play inside the goal line and say it's Myles' time. And on cue, buddy, on cue.
On cue, he delivered. I'm trying to go back. We've texted so many times since that moment that I have to go back like 1,000 pages. But yes, it was as if we spoke it into existence. We said, this is Myles' time. He's going to do it right now. And then here it comes, and boom, he did it. In fact, the quote was, boy, if Myles is going to be a star, now is that time. I said, yes, force a turnover that leads to a touchdown, and then, boom, Myles called it. We willed it. Myles, exclamation points are flowing. And there it is. Myles, we didn't will it. Myles just went out, and he did it. But that's what we talked about. Remember, going into this center stage, game-changing momentum plays, and boy, was that ever a game-changing momentum play. They stop you. They have the momentum from the goal line stand. They think they get out of it. Remember, Larry jumps off sides. They end up picking up a first down, and then you get them into third and long, and Myles and Porter Gustin and Hoff break down because it was even too quick for my untrained eye. One step to the middle, and then the guard was toast because he was so scared of the inside move. Myles goes around. They bump into the back. The tackle's then saying, oh, wait, Myles is going to kill him. I'm going to stop blocking 5-star. And it was a meeting at the quarterback.
It's like a Euro step.
Oh, it was beautiful. Myles gave the one quick step to the inside, and that's what he does when he lines up over a guard. Is he's so quick, he threatens those guys, and they get so nervous about how quick and how fast he is that they overreact. We always used to say on the offensive line, big move, no move. Myles made a little move to the inside. What did that guard do? He made a huge move to the inside that put him out of position. So when Myles came back to the outside of the guard, where he was actually trying to set up a tackle and stunt for Porter Gustin. He was supposed to set up his other buddy, but he beat the guard so clearly and cleanly that he was able to go in and feast himself on the quarterback. And that was beautiful to see because old Joe Burrow was knocked down pretty hard on that one because even though Myles got the sack and the fumble, I think Porter Gustin may have given Joe Burrow his welcome to the NFL moment with that incredibly crutching hit that he put on him on that play.
Yeah, the defensive line in general, right, guys? I mean, I think when you got to talk about Sheldon. Just the motor. I mean, he was a man possessed for 60 minutes last night, Joe. I mean, it's just incredible, a veteran bringing it like that.
Yeah, Joe Burrow attempted 61 passes, only a 5.2-yard average. Why was that? Because he couldn't hang on to the football and throw the ball downfield. They had to throw everything short because the Browns' defensive line was swarming the backfield with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I think, was like under 2.5 seconds to throw, which basically means you've thrown everything quickly in the whole night. The only times they were able to even take any shots down the field, they had to keep a running back or a tight end in to try to chip and to help Myles because he was so thoroughly beating that offensive tackle, Bobby Hart, most of the evening. And so even though Myles didn't show up hugely in the stat sheet, he did have the one sack, the forced fumble, but only 3 tackles. He was felt the entire night. He had a big impact because of what he made the offense change to do in order to try to block him up so they could throw the football down the field. They had to play shorthanded to try to handle Myles all night. So a lot of times with the defensive line, your impact is felt more than just in the stat sheet with tackles and sacks.
And Sheldon was spectacular as I pull out my copious notes that I made as we went through the film this morning, gentlemen. Sheldon, he had an open field sack. The sack that he had, Actually, Burrow was out of the pocket to the right. Sheldon's about 5 yards in
spin
front of
on
him and closes him and throws him on his tuchus. It was unbelievable, but that's such an athletic play because Joe Burrow is incredibly elusive and athletic, as we saw last night. But Sheldon, we said it last year, Beau, unsung hero on this defense, and again,
really
another tremendous performance. He's been the glue. He's been the one constant from week 1 of last year through this year. Sheldon Richardson, you can count on him no matter what.
That was one of those ones for Joe where he thought he was playing Mississippi State. Then you get away. Well, maybe not even Mississippi State. Maybe Ole Miss. You can get away with that. You can't get away with that in the National Football League. That spin back to the middle. Sheldon just threw him. Let's close with this one, and let's close with Joe Burrow, the Browns rookie quarterback making his second start. What were your impressions, Hoff?
I thought he did really well. I mean, I was really impressed. There's really nothing that I can say that was a glaring mistake. And that's exactly what you want. When you've got a rookie that's out there, you're hoping that he blends in and that you don't really notice him too much, because a lot of times a rookie only gets noticed when he does something bad. And to be able to avoid that, that's a huge part in your progress, because that means you didn't make any huge mistakes, you didn't make any big penalties, and you helped your team win, and that's all you want from your rookies. Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution.
He's impressive, right? I mean, he's an impressive guy.
He's an Ohioan.
I thought his poise, I thought his toughness. You mentioned he was running for his life a lot. He got hit a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he was hit a lot in this game and stood tall. I thought made a lot of very impressive throws. It's great that you got him down to about 5 yards per attempt on the day, and you know, you're looking. The majority of his passes were well short of 10 yards in the air. I mean, it was he had to get it out quick. That was kind of how they could deal with us. Wasn't able to connect down the field. But you can tell this is a guy that is going to be an upper echelon quarterback in this league for a long time. Honestly, when he was wearing number 9, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm remembering this incorrectly, but didn't Carson Palmer wear number 9 with them?
He did.
He looked like Carson Palmer, who I remember the game, Hoff, when you were still playing here against Arizona, and Carson Palmer came in and just carved us up. And I remember thinking, he played the quarterback the way that in your mind you think it's designed to be played, just tall in the pocket. He has that build, that look. Burrow has that same thing, except he's not a statue. And I think when the game slows down, when they get him a line in front of him, he's going to be tremendous. Very impressed. I've seen a lot of young quarterbacks in my time with our organization and obviously around the league now, going to games since, 2013. Joe Burrow is one of the most impressive rookies I've ever seen, just from his poise, his delivery, his presence, his moxie. There's a guy in the crowd behind me and New Rob the whole day. Every time he complete a pass, he'd go, "Look at that guy's moxie." And at one point, they're down. The game's over. I think there were 40 seconds left, and we had recovered the onside kick, and he's like, too bad he had so much moxie. I was like, well, we got the win, so that's good for us. But, again, incredibly impressive. I really thought the way he carries the ball, Carson Palmer had a very, I think, particular way that he carried the ball and stood tall in the pocket. Burrow has a lot of that, but is a plus athlete, which is kind of scary.
Kid's a gamer. He's just a gamer. That moxie comes from his time in high school, at the Plains High School in Athens. That's where they came from, Joe Moxie Burrow. That happened at that point because he took him all the way to a state championship game. Small school had never been to that spot. So, he's got all of those things. And like I said off the top of the show, it's just going to be fun to watch the young star quarterbacks in this division duel over the course of the next decade or so, with Lamar obviously out in front at this point in the conversation. Coming up next, we take a look. Another young quarterback coming in here, Dwayne Haskins, one that we know pretty well from his time at Ohio State. But speaking of Ohio State, Chase Young's coming to town too. You want to test for that offensive line, you're going to get one. We'll take a quick look ahead coming up next. You're listening to the Joe Thomas Hour on Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. crossed. Mack, Kevin, Greedy, cavalry on the way, Z.
Yeah, you certainly hope so, because as we talked about, no dice on the outside, a little bit of dice in the middle of the field. And I think, slot corner, Tavier, they picked on him, just like the Ravens did, and he did his best. I think, to his credit, sure tackler. Once the passes were completed, didn't let anything big happen as a result of those completions. But I think it will be massive to get, Kevin Johnson back. It'll be big to get Mack Wilson back. I think Ronnie Harrison, even though he had that one play that he'd like back, I'm sure he's just a guy we need on the field, frankly. And I think it's, Grant Delpit's not going to come back. And I think I know he was going to be a huge part of what we did.
Yeah.
So you got to get healthier there. We've got to get a little bit more sound kind of in the middle of the field, linebacker, safety, slot, corner. And I think just by addition, we're going to do that as we get ready to take on this Washington football team that, look, week one, they came back, they beat the Eagles. Wasn't exactly the most impressive thing in the world. They averaged about 2 yards a carry rushing, about 5 yards a pass attempt. Their defense, though, is very good. The strength of that line, I think that matches up pretty well with our strength, though, which is our offensive line.
Yeah, that's Goliath versus Goliath. It should be, Joe. When you think about Chase Young and Kerrigan, I think they've drafted up on that defensive line over and over the last couple of years. They're building it that way. That ought to be the key next Sunday, don't you think?
Yeah, they got all sorts of top draft choices on that defensive line for Washington, and this will be the best test that the Browns' offensive line has seen so far this season. Baltimore's got a pretty good defensive line, but when you're talking about guys coming off the edge, threatening our offensive tackles, we're going to really find out a lot about Jack Conklin and Jed Wills here when the Washington football team comes to town. And, I'm really, really positive and high on what I've seen from the Browns' offensive line thus far. But we'll know a lot more, not exactly this time next week, but in 2 weeks on Monday after the Sunday game in Cleveland at First Energy Stadium. We'll be sitting here talking and saying, woo, really impressive. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, as a player with this early Thursday game, how would you approach it with kind of this mini bye week here?
Yeah, this was great for a player because it is a mini bye week, right? Because usually you'll come in on a Friday. You're going to do a little bit of film review. You're going to talk with your coaches about, okay, normal, this is what we need to correct. This is what we need to, we did well. You'll go out maybe on the field and do a little walkthrough so you can kind of lock in those corrections that need to be made. You're going to get a workout in. But then usually you're off by Friday afternoon, and they'll a lot of times give you Saturday and Sunday away. So now, with coronavirus, you're probably not going out of town, but some guys used to go home. They'd go see their families, whatever it is, kind of get that mental refresh. So when you come back on Monday, you have a normal Wednesday practice, which is confusing because it is on Monday, but it is really nice to be able to get a little bit of time away, kind of refresh the body a little bit, get a little bit extra massage, get an extra couple cold tub, get an extra cryotherapy. And then by next week's game, which is 10 days away, you're feeling pretty good. You're definitely feeling a lot better than the other team that's coming to town.
Joe, I'll get you out of here on this one. I know you got to run. In terms of this Sunday, no stress of watching our team play and the nerves of going to that. Which game has the most of your attention for Sunday?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't looked at the schedule yet because I've been so busy worrying about the
I'll give you a couple to choose from.
Yeah, give me a couple to choose from here. Give me
Baltimore going at Houston in a big one for Deshaun. You got a bunch of teams that have playoff aspirations at 0-1. You got Dallas hosting the Falcons at 0-1. Tampa Bay's 0-1. The Sunday nighter is the Patriots at Seattle. So a lot of really intriguing games there early. A must-win probably for Detroit if they're going to be a team that a lot of people could sneak around going to Green Bay.
Yeah, awesome. This one's easy for me. It's the Patriots Seahawks, right? Because we saw Cam Newton last week. It was a completely different Patriots offense than what we're used to seeing with Tom Brady. I want to see what they dial up this week against the Seahawks. Seahawks are looking really good. Russell Wilson's looking like he's in MVP form already. And so I think that's going to be a great battle of two really good quarterbacks. And the intrigue for me continues with New England and to see how that marriage between Cam Newton and Bill Belichick continues to grow and see what happens when they get a little bit of adversity, which I think will happen on Sunday against the Seahawks.
No question. Great talking to you, buddy. Fun watching you last night on the broadcast, pregame and postgame. And And look forward to talking to you again soon, my friend.
Thanks again, guys. It's great talking to you on this Victory Monday Friday.
That's right.
Yes.
That, of course, concludes the great Hoff Hour, the Joe Thomas Hour of Cleveland Browns Daily. More pure joy coming up next. The scores. It's already that time. It's hard to believe it. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. The Browns 50-50 raffle is now open. Fans through Ohio can win big and support the Stay in the Game network. Shoes and clothes for kids. Purchase tickets via the Browns mobile app or at browns5050.com. And with that, it is time for the scores. Gibby?
I was waiting. I thought Zegura was going to get all excited there.
The score.
Oh, yeah, if you hit the button the right way.
I gotta pull up.
I was on the first time.
I was just saying, you guys
if I had
should
a
have
light,
this ready.
If I had a
light,
I would have known I was on.
Boy, what an incredible difference that would have been.
What was I talking about last night where I was finally like, oh, well, maybe if, you had something not going right.
I was giving Gibby grief about freezing me out. The new Rob was like, yeah, give him some run. And he told new Rob to stay in his lane. And I said, new Rob's not staying in his lane because you need him.
Your job is to videotape. Not mine.
Nope.
You just want technology to help you. I was doing a pregame hit a couple of years ago at the television station I was doing some stuff for, and I sent back a look live. Not a live, a look live. And what you tend to do in those things, and you do this all the time. Everybody who's a Big B broadcaster does this. You go 3, 2, and 1, and then you're to edit it back home so that's what shows, on the air. Because it's a look live. The audience thinks it's live. That's the idea of it.
They don't want a
very
3,
common
2,
in television.
and 1.
No. Then they know it's taped.
All the huge B's know what that is.
So that's frustrating.
That's
I told the guy, I said, look, you have. That's what I said. I said, you have one job. Edit it. That's it. I'll do the rest.
After 3, 2, 1, that's your cue.
It was so frustrating for me.
Run with everything after. I can't imagine how frustrated you were. I'm sad for you.
It was really frustrating.
I want you to know.
But anyway, I don't know what that has to do with this.
As a fellow huge B, I know that's not on you. I know that you're doing the 3, 2, and 1 as a part of your big B-ness.
That's right.
That's right.
Sometimes you got to show your big B-ness.
That's right.
Go ahead, Gibby.
Say now. Let's get it going. Week 2, Falcons visiting the Cowboys. Falcons, a tough loss last week. A lot of offense, not a whole lot of defense. Cowboys banged up, MASH unit. Who wants to go first here?
I'll go first.
What, 9-7? 9-7, 9-7 last week?
That's right. 2 games over 500 as we enter this one.
It's good.
It's
good.
Already
I don't know if it's
victory.
playoff worthy, but I think it's good.
Truth serum. There's question. Truth serum. Maybe I alluded to it, but I didn't pull the trigger because of my belief strong.
It's the real truth.
In R2. That's
As
right.
Arden would say, it's the real truth.
It was the real truth. Nonetheless, listen. I think in this one you don't flock with the Falcons. I think Atlanta, Matty Ice, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. They've got a lot of this to their game. Hello. Here I am. And I don't think that the Cowboys are healthy enough to take them down to that extreme. Do the Cowboys win? They do. 30-27.
I got to make sure I have this right.
30.
Okay. All right, 30. Just had to pay attention to the scores.
Pay attention.
Look, when your defensive coordinator says publicly, out loud, talking like we're friends, we had to take away Chris Carson and let Russ beat us with his arm? Come again?
But don't you
I don't think that's going to fare well against CeeDee Lamb and the boys for the Dallas Cowboys. I think big rebound for the boys. Boys big. Cowboys 90. Falcons 2.
Don't you think, though, after making a comment like that, it's kind of like when there's, a malfunction somewhere in a transportation sector that immediately following that massive and then public malfunction that it's probably as safe as ever to utilize said transportation? I feel like that's what Raheem Morris did. I think that was a malfunction. It's now a public malfunction, and so we're on high alert there. Every protocol is being followed to the T, and we're still going to give up 30 in my scenario.
It's going to be a high-scoring game.
That's right.
1 o'clock game, AFC East tilt. The Buffalo Bills are 1-0. The Dolphins 0-1 and not too impressive last week. Dolphins hosting the Bills. Beau, what say you?
Bills didn't even really have to bring the other hand out from behind their back. I mean, they didn't even really have to get it going in the run game with Singletary or Moss. I like this team a lot. I think their defense is elite. I think there's a little bit of fool's gold with Miami. People thinking they were better than they were because the appearance of playing New England close. I think Buffalo wins big in this one. Buffalo 34, Miami 14.
Same. It's interesting. We coming into this, we're not huge Josh Allen believers, but you've got to give credit where it is due. I thought he looked good. I thought Brian Dable, former Brown, has done an incredible job with that offense. They put in a ton of read option in week 1 because the Jets struggled with it so much against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens a year ago. Devontae Parker's questionable. He's who I would see Fitzmagic bringing with him to the back door. So I don't know who I see being able to do that. And this, I'd almost feel more comfortable if the line were a little bigger. But nonetheless, I'm with you. Same. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, still not buying in yet. I like what Josh Allen's done. I'm not going to lie, but 1 o'clock game, NFC South. There's only one team in the division that's 1-0. Everybody else 0-1, including these two. Carolina and Matt Rule going to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Must-win game for the Bucs.
Look, Theodore's spectacular in the opener, but just missed doing what he had to do for the scores by 1 point. So close, yet so far. Tampa is being crushed. And I think this reeks of, remember when Tom Brady gets written off after week 1 games? Do you know what happens the next week? Usually something pretty rebounds. Good. Usually rebounds. Bucks 54. Theodore shown the door.
I don't even know what that means.
Godwin, concussion protocol.
Back at practice today, Beau.
Oh, Bootsy. It's somebody at the who's at the back door?
Is it Theodore?
He's got 2 gloves on? Does he have 2 gloves on?
Is it Sir Purr?
Oh, let him in.
Is Sir Purr there?
Let him in. Let Sir Purr in. Let Theodore in. Let Christian McCaffrey in. Let Robbie Anderson in. Ooh. Carolina, closer than the experts think. Tampa Bay, 31. Carolina, 30.5.
30.5? Wow. That's what a doinked extra point is now, a half.
Oh my God.
A half if you hit the goalpost. Half.
That's right, half. It should be. It actually should be. I want to institute a fun rule. If you hit the goalpost, it's worth 1 point more. So an extra point would be worth 2.
Oh, because it's harder.
Because it's harder.
Yeah, make him try to hit it.
Try it. Go for it. Sure.
I like that. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Make-believe land's over. Time to get back to what we're good at. Denver traveling to Pittsburgh.
That is what we're good at.
The Broncos kind of a mess right now. The Broncos, this could derail quickly, and the Steelers, fresh off of a Monday night game, Big Ben felt like he was in a car wreck till like Wednesday. I don't know. Pittsburgh's hosting Denver. Watch out, Renegade coming.
They don't need it. Short week for the Broncos. Played the late Monday nighter. Now they got to go across the country to Pittsburgh. Beat down city. Pittsburgh big. Pittsburgh 99. Broncos 1.
No Von Miller. Chubb, if he's back, he didn't play week 1. How do you disrupt Big Ben? I don't think they have the cover guys. I don't think they have the – I just don't know. The Steelers are really good.
Huge.
Steelers, huge. Next.
Huge.
Next up, guys, a nice little matchup in the NFC North. Detroit 0-1. Tough loss last week, and the clock is ticking on Matt Patricia. They travel to Lambeau to battle the red-hot Aaron Rodgers-led Green Bay Packers. Zegura?
I like what Aaron Rodgers did in week 1. I love Devontae Adams. Good news for the Lions. Jeff Okudah set to make his NFL debut, which will help them hopefully in coverage. I don't think that they can stop Green Bay, but I'm not so sure Green Bay can stop them. Packers, 31. Leons, DLD, baby, 28.
Oh, wow. I like your 31. I see that for Green Bay. Lions, 24. Same, but different.
So different.
Next up in the AFC South, the Jaguars, Minshew Mania, and a date with the Tennessee Titans. Nashville's going to be party central this weekend. First place on the line for the AFC South, Bishop.
This is one, so just to give you guys an idea for a moment of reality here, this was a Niner yesterday.
Okay.
A Niner. And on a Niner, I would say, how dare you doubt Minshew. But on a 7.5-er, a little bit of Henry. A little bit of home cooking.
You got to deal with that field goal kicker.
29. Minshew. 20.
They could have had a nice 12-year Pappy's worth of points more in week 1, could the Tennessee Titans, had they not missed 4 field goals, robbing us of a Monday night sweep. Robbing us.
Sad.
Goskowski.
Robbing us.
More like God's thief. But these are still the Titans. Those are still the Jags. I think we're having a little irrationality here in the line, and I believe the same as you, a steady dose of Derrick Henry. No A.J. Brown, but Corey Davis looking like a guy taken in the top 10 picks in week 1. Yep. And there ain't no Tannehill high enough for Gardner Minshew to scale, because Titans 20, Jags 7.
Get your Minshew fat heads now, because they won't be here for much longer. All right, another 1 o'clock game. The Rams traveling to Philly to battle the Eagles. This is a tough one. Carson Wentz, the Eagles, they're on shaky ground. The Rams, solid effort last week. Zegura.
This reminds me of a promo that The Rock cut before the 1999 Royal Rumble, before he entered an I Quit match with Mick Foley playing the role of Mankind. And The Rock, he looked at the camera and he said, "Something about this situation really befuddles The Rock." And that's what I have to say about what the experts have put in front of me
scores?
Right now as it relates to scores. I think the Rams are good. I didn't think the Eagles were good. They just lost to the football team. And yet, the experts think the Eagles fly in this one. I know I should be a contrarian, and I'm going to kick myself when this doesn't happen. However, I say, ram it.
They know.
Ram it. Same. Next.
Do you agree, though? Does that something about that situation really befuddle the Beau?
Sanders is back for Philly, but no, how are they going to block Aaron Donald?
Right.
Come on.
How are they going to stop the Rams?
Yeah, I don't know.
They couldn't stop football team.
Couldn't stop football team.
They could not. The Britton Cole Show descends upon Indianapolis. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Colts 0-1, Vikings 0-1. Two teams with high expectations. Big must-win game for both of these teams. Beau, who do you got?
Colts up 3 late. Vikings got to punt. Got to punt it. Get it back to him. Try to get him into a coffin corner. Not. Fake punt. Cole takes off. No one can get him. The extra point is good. Vikings 7. Colts 3.
I've been fading the Colts since before it was cool, and I'm going to keep doing it. Vikings, MVD. We were just in the Mall of America. It didn't look the way we wanted to in week 1. That was not up to our standard. That was some of the talk on MVD. And you heard similar talk on
all the callers we
CBD.
took.
And
we
guess
so
what
many
happened in
callers
week
on
2? Whoop! You flipped it right around just like Cole and the Vikings. Same.
All right, now we got to start going a little more rapid fire here. The G-Men visiting Chicago and Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky pulling his job back, at least for a few more weeks. Bears are 1-0 on the year. G-Men didn't play terrible against the Steelers, but still commit 0-1.
Should the Bears be giving this much to anybody?
Bears 4, Giants 1.
Next.
Oh. All right. The 49ers, not Pedro.
$1 billion.
Coming East Coast to take on the Jets.
$1 billion.
It's that hey, they'll actually have clean. Well, will they have clean air? Is New York clean air these days? Who knows?
Pedro just diving into pots of gold like Scrooge McDuck swimming around in the gold rush. Oh, Niners by $1 billion.
Scrooge McDuck. That's right. Scrooge McPedro. No Jamison Crowder. No Lev Bell. Adam Gase.
Oh, my God. By $1 billion.
Next.
Adam Gase and Matt Patricia. The clocks are ticking, gentlemen. The Washington. Oh, okay.
DLD. We're not having any kind of that talk on DLD.
No. Give it another week.
There's none of that talk.
Give it another
callers
week.
want to have it. We don't.
4 o'clock
like
games. Washington visiting Arizona. Little scouting game for us. The Cardinals off of a big win against the Niners. Washington, an impressive win as well. Well coached, well disciplined. They go to Arizona. Anybody?
Kyler,
Zone is good.
Cliff, Scottsdale.
Yep.
Barrio
Same.
Queen.
You
Al
get
Pastor.
hooked. You get hooked, and that's how you
Conchita,
lose.
E.P. Beal.
Same.
Cardinals, 100. Football team, 8.
Same.
The Ravens traveling to Houston. My buddy said, my buddy this morning's texting me going, hey, these fantasy experts say I should play like 2 or 3 of these guys on the Texans offense. I say you should not. The Ravens going to Houston. An interesting little matchup.
Not so fast. I think there's going to be some plays maybe for Houston in this secondary to make this one
so.
great. The one thing that I don't think will change, though, is that the Ravens will get the run game going. They could put 50 on the board on Houston. Give me the Ravens. 51. Houston, listen to your buddies. 41.
Oh, listen. What he was trying to do is make you think he was going this direction, and then he went that direction. And I, like Beau Bishop, know that when you're in a canoe with one other man, and I'd love to be in a canoe with Beau Bishop, we must row in the same direction. And that's why I also say Ravens.
Right.
Hey, as Andrew Gribble.
Hey, we have
as
like
he said,
60 seconds
Star
today.
Star of better or worse, or just right. He said they look like a college football team when they get rolling, do the Ravens, with a discrepancy in talent. Ravens, same.
All right, we have 3 games. Quickly, rapid fire. Kansas City,
Mahomes.
the Chargers.
Same.
Sunday night football, Patriots, Seahawks.
Russ.
Monday night, Saints, Raiders.
Saints, Breeze, Kamara.
Oh, I beg to differ on that.
Same.
Well, you can beg all you want.
Oh, when the Saints.
Same.
come
No Michael
marching
Thomas.
in.
Ruh-roh,
Oh,
Reggie.
when the Saints. Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook. Hope you got Emmanuel Sanders off the waiver wire this week. If he was on there, start him. Let's go, Saints.
Shouldn't have been on the waiver wire. That's it. We got to go to break.
850, ESPN Cleveland.
Much more
Go to
come.
break.
up.
If you like to play the lottery or gamble in other ways, don't take the unnecessary chances. Be sure you know the odds and what you're getting into before you bet. Want to learn more? Very easy.
1 minute.
FunOhio.com for helpful hints, interesting quizzes, great games to help you keep gambling fun. Z, kind of no game Sunday, just a free weekend. Get out, pumpkin patch, frolic. What game will you be watching on Sunday? What one are you most excited for?
Well, I want to watch Houston, obviously. Arizona against Washington to get that preview. But Houston, Baltimore, Seattle, New England are going to be the games that I will be riveted by.
Yeah, going to be a good fun red zone day, kids. Enjoy your week.
30.
Enjoy your Victory Friday.
Yes!
Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Going to be Washington week next week. The next level coming up next. We're back on Monday.
20.
Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You guys are down. Thanks. Great show today.
Good job, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.